Oh, and we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Tool Belt, episode 206. We have another phenomenal guest. Stay tuned for these brief messages.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer, TC Backer.
Is your lead flow down? Whether you're a company owner, office staff, salesperson, or installer, you're a roofing rock star. We help you get more leads with custom SEO, Google Ads, and a pro website.
TC Backer, TC Backer.
Wow, that was quick. Didn't that seem quick? Yeah. So, welcome back, everybody, to episode 206 Behind the Tool Belt. We got Joseph Hughes with Contractors Dynamics, marketing training for roofing contractors. My man, Joe, how the hell's it going, brother?
It's going well, man. Those ads and your jingle and everything gets me pumped up. I got the energy flowing here on a Wednesday night.
Good. It does me too. We're actually working on, well, Vic is working on something special for this holiday. I guess I could let the cat out of the bag just a little bit, but we have something special coming that should hopefully get on everybody's nerves and burns it onto the retina of their eyes, and their brain is melting out of their ears because they hear it so much, and it just gets stuck in there. And it's the first thing we want them to think of as soon as they wake up every morning. If not, we will do our damnedest to make sure that that does happen. So
I love the commitment.
yeah, I'm out to get you. I'm out to get you. So anyhow, Joe, dude, my man, I just, I look up to you a lot. I just want you to know that, in my opinion, thought leader, influencer, coach, mentor, entrepreneur, an extremely talented and successful person, man. So thank you for always, committing to coming on the show and sharing our stage with us and our platform and stuff, man. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, man.
Yes, thank you. It's an honor to be here as well. You guys have built something amazing, awesome. I love what you're doing. Our values align, so it's always a pleasure. So appreciate
For
it.
sure. For sure, man. So I saw that you just got back from the Best of Success. Do you mind telling us a little bit like what that's about? Unfortunately, I've never been there. And for those who haven't been there, if you don't mind, fill us in a little bit like what that's about.
Sure. Best of Success is a conference run by Roofing Contractor Magazine. This was their 19th year running it. So they have an amazing team. They have everything pretty much everything dialed in. It runs really smoothly. It's very professional. I think there are about 400 contractors there, probably about 15, 20 sponsors. We were one of the sponsors, vendors. And it's different from a roof con. It's different from roofing process. It's smaller. It's a little bit more intimate. It is it's a professional crowd, really good speakers, no pitching or anything like that. Really good relationship building. So I would characterize it as not like, from a vendor sponsor standpoint, you're not like, generating lots of leads and sales right there, but you're building those long-term relationships, which is exactly why we went to hang out with clients, had a client dinner, met with some of our strategic partners. Rufal was there. So yeah, it was very good. And what I liked about it is that it was Sunday evening, it was all day Monday and then half day Tuesday, and then you're home. So it was pretty quick. And for someone who travels a lot, like myself, like being able to get, be at a great conference like that and only be gone 2 nights for my family, that was pretty cool. So yeah, we loved it. We'll be back next year. Next year is the 20th year. It's going to be in Naples area, Southwest Florida. So we'll be there.
Okay, good. So this year was like the 20th anniversary, correct? Is that how long that thing's been going?
19 years this year, and then 20 will be next year. Yep. They've
Okay.
been running it for a while. It's kind of like it started as a small, 70-person conference in Florida, and it's grown to this. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's really well run.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, man. I mean, I've heard of it for a long time, but I don't know why I just never cut out or carved out enough time to make it down there. Because I all those people that you had mentioned and the networking and the relationship building and stuff like that. We both know how important that is for all different purposes and reasons of developing, relationships, partnerships, network. Today, today's network is your net worth is your net worth. So that's kind of been one of our topics of discussions and has come to mind a lot lately for me, looking back over the years of being in business and those that we still do business with today and the relationships that we forged with them, but not just with them, but their network as well, and how that's kind of blossomed into or morphed into where we are today. So it's crazy. So you're big time into marketing, branding, relationship building, and things like that. So in a highly competitive market, I'm going to dive right into it if you don't mind, about what your expertise is. I think, and I know it is, because I not just that, but Joe, again, going back to the nuggets that you drop every single morning, like I look forward to, like, what's Joe got to say today, with my morning cup of Joe, no pun intended.
Thank you. Thank you. I last night I got in late, so I slept in a little bit, so I didn't do my morning post. So hopefully your day was okay, Ty. I missed it
I made it through it, and I reread the one that you did yesterday. So, I, yeah, all good, brother. but yeah, to dive right into this and into the highly competitive market that we're in, what strategies or qualities do you believe can help an individual or a company stand out from their competition? I'll try to keep it simple for you.
Yeah, there are many. And so I'll give you a little bit of a story. We were at the event yesterday, Best of Success, which was in Frisco, Texas, right outside of Dallas. And so naturally, there's a decent amount of Dallas roofing contractors there. There's a few of them, as you might have heard. And
Mhm.
we have a few clients that are in Dallas. And there's another one that was kind of at our booth and asking like same thing, like, oh man, it's so crazy. How do I stand out? And they're a
Mhm.
younger company. So they don't have the big budget like some of the big dogs do. I think it's their third year in business. And I was like, two things. What we tell everyone, no matter if you're in Dallas or if you're in Northwest Iowa, it doesn't matter. Number one is don't try to focus on your entire market, right? So don't try to focus on Dallas or Atlanta or Tampa, whatever that might be. Pick out your little pocket, like your suburb. We call it 5 Mile Famous, like your little area, and get and focus your firepower there and get everyone in that area to see you over and over and over again, just like you were talking about a few minutes ago with like burning your brand and your song and your jingle into everyone in your market.
Mhm.
Focus on that 5 mile radius or 10 miles, whatever that might be. Just get everyone familiar with your brand. So that's number one. So pick your geographic area. And then number two is kind of like what we're doing here, Ty, is get your face on video. We talk with contractors every day that are looking for some guidance with their marketing, and my team and I will go through and do just a little bit of an audit on their content, their Facebook, Instagram, website. And like pretty much in 97% of cases, the recommendation is we need more faces on video.
Mhm.
That's what's going to stand out. People do business with people. Don't hide behind your stock photos and, generic like drone flyover videos. Like that stuff's boring. People want to see who you are. Authenticity is huge. The BS meter is very active in everyone's mind these days. So that's it. Those two things. Of course, there's more than that, but those are the two major things I tell everyone.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is personal brand, right? So personal brand in today's competitive landscape. Um, what steps should an individual take to establish a strong personal brand?
Sure. Yeah, it can be personal. I mean, and there are companies clients that we work with, roofing companies that we work with, where the owner is behind the scenes and nowhere to
Mhm.
be found on social media. So it's completely your choice as an owner. Yes, it's an accelerant. As you know, Ty, like it helps accelerate pretty much everything from marketing to recruiting to relationship building, other opportunities that you might not know even exist yet. So like building out your personal brand is it's an option. It's a huge opportunity. However, if you don't want to do that, you got to be able to find people in your company that are going to get on video and to share that story and to get your clients on video, sharing their testimonials and things like that. So
Mhm.
personal brand is really just it's again authenticity. Shout out to our boy Eric Obremt
Mhm.
for being authentic. It really is, and don't try to be authentic, right? Like just be
Mhm.
yourself, and
Mhm.
you're gonna attract those people that identify and align with you. So, what was your specific question about personal brand? I kind of went in a little bit tangent
No,
there.
no, no, that's okay. Like the importance of it too. And I like what you said, because especially for a salesperson out there trying to brand themselves, the importance of that, because I heard what you were saying, like the drone photos, they're cool.
Yeah.
But putting yourself in front of the camera, the importance of that, like even if you're on the job site, you're on the roof, you're doing a tutorial, how to installation, things of that nature tend to attract people's attention, at least in my opinion. Is that what you were talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And a lot of people are, yeah, and like we get this question a lot. It's like, hey, what's the best video that I should do? And
Mhm.
I was helping someone out in
Okay.
my DMs yesterday. They're running some kind of promotion and he's like sending me a video, and not a client, just someone that I, looking for some guidance. And I was like, yeah, like he was like, should I do this one or should I do another one? I'm like, yes, like run this one, check out the data, see if it works, in the meantime, do another one. So like I think a lot of people are looking to like ask like what is the video that I can create that's going to generate all the leads, and it's really not that. You mentioned already with consistency. It's
Mhm.
about just, every week, every day, getting out there and sharing what you're doing. It could be a project, client testimonial, inspection that you're doing, whatever that might team meeting, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So just being consistent with that, just so people see you over and over.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. Consistency is key to just about everything in life, and especially when it comes to business and marketing and lead gen and getting out there and showing your value. I would say that's probably one of the biggest pain points that we have within our company. I wish more of our team would go out there and do it. And I say simply just start with a picture of the job site until you can start feeling more comfortable. Because I think where the problem lies is everyone thinks that they're going to look and sound stupid or say something stupid. But this is where you might at first, but continuously, the consistency of doing it, you get a little bit better at it. You start to hone like that craft. There's no science to it, but I think it's more of an art, right? And being creative and opening up that creativity in your mind, whether you were good in art class or not, there's still some kind of like art to it. And there's so many YouTube tutorials on how to use your iPhone, and an iPhone, man, can capture so much stuff and so many things that you can do with it. It's just do it. You have to do it. And I think that's the hard part for most people, to get over that hump, to just go out and do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, everyone has. I mean, you've been doing your content for a while. I've been doing mine for a while. And right here, right now, like we're not perfect. Like we're tripping
Mm,
over our words here and there, but like,
yeah.
you work through it, right? So you don't
Mhm.
have to be perfect to start. But obviously you got to start to in order to be good. And I would say, and we coach our clients on this, it's like you have to understand and get clear on why you're doing it, or else you're not going to do it when it gets hard, right? Just like with anything else, like going to the gym, getting fit, like you've got to have a strong why,
Mhm.
because it is hard and it's not something that you're normally doing, and it's, you're busy. We got a lot of different things to do. But you remember your why every morning when you wake up, and it's like, all right, I'm going to do this thing because it's that important to me.
Mhm.
Whether that's you want to make more money, or you want to build a brand, impact more people, hire a lot of people on your team like you do.
Mhm.
Or, the motivation for a lot of contractors is that, hey, I know that we're a good company, and I know there are a lot of like shady companies out there. I need to do a great job at marketing to prevent homeowners from working with a shady company and not getting the best service, right?
Mhm.
That's the motivation behind a lot of my content I put out. It's like the more I can educate people on how to do their own marketing, or how to understand marketing, hopefully we can, like, save people some time and money and frustration. And, they might go down a wrong path if they're not educated and work with someone that's not going to have their best interest at heart. So
Yeah.
long story short, like, get clear on why you're doing it. Don't just
Mhm.
do it because Ty's telling you to do it or Joe's telling you to do it.
Right.
Understand, like, the big picture here.
Yeah, and there's a bigger, even bigger than that, Joe. When it comes to your why, it's like we're not out here actually doing this for ourselves. If you work within a company that has a great culture, camaraderie, and fellowship, it's like we're all in this together. And I'm not necessarily doing this for myself, but I'm doing this for you as well. So if you can get everybody rowing in that same direction, and create the value in the content, like think about it. Like this isn't about how dumb I sound. Like on my way here today, it's like, man, I want to make sure that we're kicking out the best content so somebody on their way to work tomorrow can get something from what Joe and I are talking about tonight. Like that's my why behind this. Like if it's, and I'm not even trying to plug the show right now, but it's like that's why we're doing this. So if I can hit the play button and provide value to a homeowner, right? Of like, we do such great work. We have all the warranties, we have all of these things, and we're right here in your neighborhood. And if you can get each one of your salespeople, or it doesn't even matter, the production team, posting photos, doing videos, and tagging each other in it. It's like Facebook picks up those algorithms, and that's free. Can you pay for ads? Yes, you can pay for ads, but then within itself, while you guys are all tagging each other, people don't even talk about this much, but that helps forge a stronger and deeper culture, because then you guys are all tagging each other all day long and stuff. And it's like when I look at my Facebook feed, man, it's TC Backer stuff all day long that my team is tagging me in. And imagine what the algorithms is doing on somebody else's feed that may have even just spoken the word roof in their living room one night. All of a sudden, it's like they're seeing our free stuff that we just posted for free on their feed. And I don't think enough people know of that strength of one of the power that Facebook can have for free, and the culture building that creates when everybody's out there rowing in the same direction and doing it for each other and those in the office. It's like, I market myself so well that the phone rings, the girl that's answering the phone is getting paid because the phone rings. She sets the appointment for the salesperson to go out. The salesperson's getting paid because he's going to close that job. The roofing crew that goes out there that does the job is getting paid because of the salesperson, and that ripple effect. But then they're doing such a great job that the phone's going to ring again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think people understand that. It's like, I think everybody just goes to work because they're going for a selfish reason. Like, I need a paycheck at the end of the week. But if they understand that they're doing so well at their job that the person sitting next to them also has a job because they're so good at their job, not to go off beat, but like personally branding and professionally branding the company, it takes the entire team to put it out there. Because let's face it, one of the number one marketing strategies is your team screaming from the rooftops on how great the company is that they work for. And by them posting stuff, even if it's just like another homeowner's getting a roof, I love the place that I work, come, and it's helped us recruit, it's helped us retain, it's helped us hire, it helped us generate leads. It does so many things, and it's so powerful. Not enough people take advantage of it.
So much in there, yeah, and I
Yeah.
love the ripple effect that you talk about there. So, for example, what if tomorrow morning you're like, Ty Backer is like, you know what, I just want to sleep in and hit the snooze. I don't feel like doing my content. Like, you're holding back your team from having the success that they could have, from making that
Mhm.
money, from closing that deal, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, you're right. It's got to be bigger than you. That's such a great point.
100%. And that's the thing. Like, so stop thinking about how stupid I'm going to sound. You're
Right.
screwing it up for your coworker right now because you're not hitting the go button.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's selfish. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. If you think about it, it's like, why else are you not doing it? I know you're capable of doing it. I know everyone's doing it because you're on Facebook all day. Just go into your photo setting, hit the video, and just do a video.
Yeah.
And then if you know some with CapCut, like cut it, like edit it. Like, it's so they've made it so easy for us today. And I'm not bashing anyone that doesn't do it, because believe me, I get the insecurity, I get the fear, I get the low self-esteem, I get all these things. I understand it, I deal with it. I'm an entrepreneur. I fight these demons every single day in my head, but I've muscled through these things. And you know how many nights that I didn't want to stay consistent over 206 episodes? I, over half of them. I was sick.
Yeah.
I was getting married. I was on my honeymoon. I was laying in bed. I was in a hospital bed. Like, but the show must go on because of the consistency. I didn't know where this was going. I had no idea it was going to turn into this, but I just knew something good was going to come out of it. Because if we impacted one person that's
Mm.
driving on their way to work or listening live right now, get that win. That's a win.
Absolutely. Yeah. We enrolled a new client today, and I don't do sales, but he wanted to talk with me, which is, sometimes it happens, and it's like, yeah, I'll make time for that. I'm never too good to make time for someone that wants to talk with me and
Mhm.
potentially give us money to help them. And he's like, yeah, man, I listen to a lot of your content. I watch a lot of your videos, and I'm so grateful. I'm thinking, man, I'm so grateful for that. And he's like, yeah, I just been, taken advantage of so many times, not necessarily by marketing people, but by roofing
Mhm.
company owners that he's worked for. Obviously, it's a big thing in our industry, unfortunately. But he's like, I just want to chat with you and kind of, feel you out a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's awesome. So, like, this guy, he's young, he's 27, he's trying to find his way with his life and his business. And like, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to help him.
Mhm.
And that wouldn't have happened without our content. So it's cool.
Yeah. And the shelf life that it has.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like
totally.
I've had people, one of our team members signed a deal on someone who subscribed to our YouTube channel for Behind the Tool Belt.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? And it was a pretty significant job. So, I mean,
Awesome.
we didn't even plan that, but that's just putting content out there. And who, I don't even know how old the video was. It was probably one of our earlier videos where we're not doing so good, and hopefully obviously didn't drop too many F bombs or anything in it like that. So I'm more aware of that today too. It's like, oh my God, people are watching this. And again, going in it, we didn't really know how many people were going to dig it. But change gears here a little bit. Um, in your opinion, how crucial is it for an individual or a company to stay up to date on the latest industry trends and technologies? And how can that effectively incorporate these advancements to stay ahead of their competitors?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cliche what I'm about to say, but it's true. Like, things change so quickly that you've got to stay on top of it. Whether we're talking about the algorithm, whether we're talking about the way that consumers purchase these days. I mean, man, we used to run ads for our clients. So it would be basic, like, Facebook ads, like, hey, free inspection, even in crowded markets like Dallas and Denver. And that stuff worked really well. It was like almost too easy. And nowadays it's, you can't do that. That does not work. Take, for example, reels. Reels started getting popular like about a year and a half ago with the captions and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And we were one of the first ones, I think, in our industry to start to do them, because we have an awesome video guy, John, who's always coaching me. And then, fast forward just 3 months and everyone's doing them. So it's like, all right, well, everyone's doing it. So how do we stand out? And we were just talking about this today in our content meeting. It's like, all right, well, we need to tell better stories, right? So you always need to be just, adapting, because like things move so quickly, and these tools like CapCut, now
Mhm.
anyone can. Like, I was editing videos myself on the plane last night. I'm not an editor, but I'm using these tools to edit these reels from the show and posting them real time. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, so you have to stay on top of it. Consumer buying behavior is a big one, right? It's
Mhm.
like, what does that homeowner need to see in order to feel comfortable enough to contact TC Backer, right? What do they love? What do they hate? What do they fear? What do they desire? And they're doing all their research. 70% of the research is done online before someone reaches out to a company for the first time. So think
Mhm.
about like what that, say, husband and wife or whatever your avatar is, that commercial property owner. Think about the research that they're doing. What types of questions are they asking? Like, what do they want to see? So you've got to adapt to the way that people are buying these days. And then the tools, yeah, I mean, of course, AI is the big one, and ChatGPT 4 and all that stuff. And people might be, and I'll admit, like, I'm not, I would say I'm not an early adopter when it comes to that stuff. Like, I'm not going out and getting the newest iPhone. I'm not the first one to download ChatGPT, but I've started to incorporate it into some of the things that we do, and it creates a lot of efficiency
Mhm.
and leverage, right? So, we can do these manual things as business owners or anyone. Like, we don't have unlimited time, obviously. So if we want to create more output, more results from the work that we're doing, we need efficiency. So these tools can help us be more effective at what we're doing. So absolutely, there's a lot of tools out there. I'd recommend just investing, 10 to 20 hours to learn about, whether it's your own CRM. I mean, we learn things about we just migrated CRMs this year. So we learn things about our CRM like every week, like, oh, we can do that. That's awesome. So
Mhm.
invest
Mhm.
the time, like carve it out, put it in your calendar just to learn about some of these things. You have guys like Adam Sand putting out webinars about AI and roofing and things like that. Like, carve out the time to educate yourself. Because I resisted it for a little bit, the AI thing. I was a little skeptical, to be honest. And it
Mhm.
took me a little while to kind of get into it. And then once I did, I'm like, oh, it's not that scary. It's not hard. And it can really like help me be more efficient, So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, like I said, I edited like 3 videos last night on the plane, probably in a total of a half an hour. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I haven't, yeah, I'm not either an early adopter of it, but I do know that within the organization, people are using it. So I'm not against us using it. I personally just haven't used it. I messed with it a little bit. I can't even get the chat GBT4. I guess I was too late to the punch or some shit. It's down now or something. Somebody had said, "Hey, you need this." So I went and I looked at it. And I was like, "Okay, I'm done." Um,
Well, that's all you got enough people on your team. You got some young people on
yeah.
your team, and so do I. Like, we've got some, several, like, 20 something year olds. So I'm always going to them in our Slack channel. I'm like, hey
Mhm.
guys, like, just ask them questions, and they help me to stay ahead of it too.
Absolutely. You have to differentiate yourself and stay on top of the technology, because let's face it, we wouldn't be where we're at today if we didn't take advantage of the new technology that's coming forward, whether it's, roofers, all their new products, Roofle, all their new products, shit, Eagle View, going back as far as that.
Yeah.
Right. There are, believe it or not, still people that don't believe in things like that. But it's like you almost have to, for efficiency and for time purposes of being able to cover more ground. Um, but speaking on differentiating, can you provide an example of a company or an individual who has successfully differentiated themselves from competitors? And what strategies do you think that they employed, and what can others learn from their approach?
An example of someone who's differentiated.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, who
lots.
does a good job?
What's that?
Who does a good job?
All right, so there's a lot of examples. One I've been using lately, maybe because they're very close to me geographically, and he was just over my house this weekend. Braga Brothers Contracting, Lucas Braga and his two brothers. They're here in New Jersey. If you just look up Braga Brothers on Instagram or Facebook, so these guys, three Brazilian brothers. They're like 25 years old, and they are second generation, kind of taking over what their dad kind of started. And I think this is their second full year in business. We've been working with them since day one. And so these guys come out of nowhere. They're young, they're Brazilians. They're not, not from around here. And they have been able to build a pretty standout brand in a very short period of time by leveraging exactly what we're talking about, focusing
Mhm.
on their geographic areas, getting on video consistently. And I recently interviewed him in my backyard on my podcast, and he said, he's like, it took us like, 6 months by the time we, from when we started doing like videos on social media to when we first got our first project. Now that's as a startup company as well. So they had really not much else going on. But they got that flywheel going. It can take a little bit to get that flywheel going, but
Mhm.
it's like a merry-go-round, right? You have to push it a little bit, but once you get it going, it's a little bit easier to keep that thing going. So those guys have had an awesome year. They've been able to, like, their video content's great, and they're doing exactly what I just said. Like, it's consistency. It's out there 3 to 5 days a week.
Mhm.
Doing videos, showing off their projects. They do a lot of James Hardy, a lot of GAF. They're always showing off what they're doing. They've got well branded, vehicles and yard signs and things like that. So it's not all online, like the offline stuff, like making every job site a billboard. I mean, they're yellow and black. So they have like Teslas that are yellow and black. They have the yard signs. They use the big metal yard signs, not the like the cheap paper ones, which I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of. But yeah, those guys have been able to do a really good job at being intentional about their content and really intentional about everything with their business, from their vision to their annual planning and things like that. So I just love
That's
those
great.
guys. They inspire me, even though they're like half my age. They inspire the heck out of me all the time.
Yeah. And that's what you have to do today to differentiate yourself. You have to be bold and step outside your comfort zone. And I think a lot of that's what plays into a lot of that. A lot of people are uncomfortable with doing things like that, but we're in the process of kind of revamping our training process, and we're leaning heavily into canvassing, right, along with social media. And when you go out and run a lead, an appointment that might come in, our standard is take 3 yard signs with you, strategically place them throughout the community, like obviously not in somebody's front yard, but at a stop sign or a state-owned piece of property that looks like it hasn't been mowed for a while, but has good visibility where you can park, a yard sign. And then we created post-it notes that you can actually write as you're canvassing the neighborhood. If you don't want to knock, just canvass, right? But the um the opportunity, if you're not there doing it, you're not gonna catch the opportunity. It's almost like you're putting, like, out of your 5 fishing poles, you only have one line in the water, right? So you got to put out all 5 fishing poles when you go into the neighborhood. Write down whatever you see wrong with their home, stick the post-it note. It's got a QR code. Hey, it looks like your 3 tab shingle is nearing the end of its life expectancy. If you want a free, inspection, give us a call. But you go out there and you do that, and then you put that in your database. We use the app Lead Scout so we can keep track of everything that we're doing. We qualify it. That launches a campaign. That triggers a Facebook ad. You geo target that neighborhood along with 3 postcards, 2 handwritten notes, 1 postcard. Like, I feel like he who gets the most touch points first wins. And if you're not out there doing that and putting yourself out there, I feel like, and it's because it's the convenience of it, right? Why people don't call, even though they know they need a roof. I don't know if it's because they don't have enough time, they don't know who to call, but by you being in that neighborhood and exposing yourself like that and putting yourself in that situation to have the opportunity to talk to somebody that's taking their trash can down to the end of the driveway, or whatever the case might be, your van's parked there, and then going back in 2 weeks and doing it all over again. It's like you got to work for it if you want to stay relevant, especially in a turbulent economic whatever we're in right now. I feel like you need to really get yourself out there. And again, those post-it notes, the geo targeting, all of that stuff has shelf life.
I hope people are really listening to that, because Ty, like so many people, as you know, are looking for, like, what's that one, marketing channel, or like what's that one thing that I can do to, like, get all the leads and double my business, right? It's never just one thing. And like what you just talked about it's awesome. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I just talked about 11 touch points. If you want the silver bullet, that's the silver bullet. If you want to
Yeah,
be relevant come spring, that's what you have to go do. You can't
right.
just sit around and wait for the phone to ring.
I-
It doesn't happen by osmosis by sitting on your ass.
yeah, don't wait till spring. Like, we're in December right now. Like,
Yeah.
start doing this stuff over the winter, even if you live in Wisconsin. Like,
Yeah.
build up that brand, get people to know who you are. Don't wait
Absolutely.
until spring.
Absolutely. And I think that's going to be the game changer. I think those who may have gotten complacent about the phone calls now in a storm region, again, you can still do retail. I mean, Greenville, South Carolina didn't have a hailstorm up until 9 months ago, 3 years. That was 3 years that went by. there's only so many homes, and that market down there is so saturated. So for somebody to not brand and market, and that's the biggest thing in a market like that. So in that market, what do you do? Do you market or do you brand? What's more important? I feel like branding, and there's a difference. Some people don't understand the difference between branding and marketing. Branding, you can't always figure out what your return on your investment is. But when you go and knock that door in 6 months, and if you branded the shit out of yourself, they're going to know who you are. You're no longer a stranger. Oh, and one more key point: when you're going out and canvassing, make sure you're carrying a yard sign with you in your hand, especially if you're knocking doors. So if they're peeking out the windows, they can at least see who you are.
Ooh, I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I came up with that a little while ago.
I never heard that. Yeah, it's just like, who's this creep coming up to my door?
Right. So if you're
Like a
cruising
ring
around the
back.
neighborhood, strategically placing your yard signs out there with your little post-it notepad, man, and you're kind of like looking at their house, and you're out on the sidewalk and they see you out there. They probably see you out there.
Yeah.
Right. You got your yard signs, you got your post-it note, you go walking up to the door, you knock on the door, they answer, they don't answer, it doesn't matter. You're gonna leave a post-it note, you mark it in your Lead Scout app, and then you just move on down to the next one. And that's what we've been doing for quite some time.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
just got to think outside the box, have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Get creative with it. And like I said, there's not that, yes, it's science, but mostly art. There's like an art form to it. Just, you got to nerd out on it.
Yeah, a lot of times, like, and I love all that stuff. It's like putting yourself in the shoes of the homeowner. Like, what again? Like, what's going to make them feel more comfortable? What's
Hmm.
going to make you stand out from the other, 8 roofers that might be knocking that door, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, storytelling. What role does storytelling play in differentiating, and how can an individual or companies effectively leverage storytelling to connect with their targeted audience and stand out amongst their competitors?
Love it. Yeah. Facts tell and stories sell, right? And I
Hmm.
don't know the stats behind this, but we are so much more likely to remember a story than a set of facts. So quick example, like, you're out, doing a build, doing a roof and maybe some siding or whatever it is. And the natural thing for someone to do, and Ty, maybe you said this to your team at TC Back, or like, hey guys, make sure you're doing videos or taking pictures. The natural thing would be to take a picture and be like, hey, look at this awesome roof we just did, or a video like, hey, look at this monster we just built today. And that's cool for other roofers or maybe internally to get everyone jazzed up and excited and all that stuff. But the homeowner doesn't care about that, right?
Hmm.
So it's very simple to tell a story. There's a few different frameworks that we use, but simply just like, hey, the homeowners called us out because they had this issue. And if you're not sure exactly what that is, we just had Chuck Toki in our group today, giving some sales training to our group, and I love what he said. He said, take the homeowner for a walk around their house. If it's not the roof, it's siding or something like that, and
Hmm.
let them tell you why they call, what they think the problem is, why they called you out, right? So they can almost sell themselves. But on your video, like, hey, these homeowners called us out because they had this issue. We did an inspection, we did an evaluation, we found this, this, and this. We gave them these 3 options. They went with this brand new Timberline HDZ roof in the charcoal color, and now they have a 30-year warranty and peace of mind before winter comes, right? That's like a 30-second story, like the stuff that we learned in like 3rd grade that we probably
Hmm.
forget, but
Hmm.
beginning, middle, and end. And that's like just keeping it simple that way. A lot of people will get out there and be like, hey, I'm Joe from Contractor Dynamics Roofing, and blah blah blah, and here's who I am. And you're wasting that 10-15 seconds like telling people who you are. They don't care about you, right? They care
Hmm.
about themselves. So just tell the story of that project and do that over and over and over again. Another way to tell stories is to get your clients on video, talking about
Hmm.
their experience, right? So
Hmm.
not every homeowner is going to be open to getting on video. You might find that 10% of your customers are, good candidates. They might be outgoing and they might be comfortable with getting on video, but get those. Like those video testimonials are huge.
Hmm. For sure. For
And
sure.
then
No, that.
storytelling, for recruiting as well, because you mentioned social media content and branding in terms of like attracting people. Get your team members to tell their stories on video, whether it's like a face on like a talking head video, or, you know, you have an event, like you guys have a ton of events out there, and you're
Mhm.
just getting some video footage of what it is. And it's like, man, like this company has a lot of cool stuff going on. They're involved in the community. They're giving away turkeys. Like, I want to be a part of something cool like that. So yeah, I mean, storytelling just it's for everything. And even
100%.
even for retention, right? Like
Mhm.
that's another challenging industry. Like attracting people, yeah, retaining them. The bigger, the better, like culture and brand and stories that you have as a company, the more likely people are going to want to stick with you, because it's, you know, you have that culture. Even if the guy down the street's promising them an extra couple bucks, they're going to want to stick with your company because you got some cool stuff going on. So that's all part of storytelling.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Joe. I mean, you nailed it, everything. And the last part, that last piece, the community involvement, we've, man, have been able to recruit more people through our community involvement. And that wasn't even intentional. That was by accident. It was just from the passion of having empathy and wanting to do, having an impact on the community is where that just began. But so many people I can't even count on both hands and feet that have came to work for us and still work for us because they look forward to those community involvements because of, you know, the fellowship and the camaraderie that I talk about all the time. But to pull off something amazing like that together as a team and not someone else setting it up for us, where we just show up and kind of serve the food, but like we made 73 turkeys together as a team. You know what I mean? And fed, we served 888 plates this year. I mean, that's like, and then we
Amazing.
beat the Guinness Book of World Record too while we were at it, of
What?
deep frying 24 turkeys this year simultaneously at the exact same time. You know what I mean? So like, think about what that has done for our morale around the
Yeah,
office, right? Like the morale, and then they're all posting it, and their friends and their families are seeing it, and it's like everyone says like, I got to meet this guy. I got to meet him. Who's your boss? Who's your boss? And it's like, I don't know how to take a compliment or anything. So I'm
I
kind of like,
know.
he is. He is not. I just showed up today. That's it. I showed up and that was it. You know, but it's so cool how those things work out. And from that experience, we look for that next dopamine shot, that next morale booster, that next, like, what can we do to top this now? And it's like we get so involved with those things, food drives, diaper drives, you know. And then what happened was, and this was so unintentional, we had news, we had Fox 43, we had CBS 21, we had WGAL, like all these local and national news outlets that showed up this year. And it was like, yeah, and like that was not the intentions behind it, but it was like, and then the team to see these news people show up out of the woodwork was like, oh my God, like we're on camera. I was on a TV commercial, like, has doubled down. I couldn't pay for that kind of retainage. I couldn't pay for that kind of marketing. I couldn't pay enough money for that branding, that brand awareness that now the entire community, whoever watches whatever news channel in York County, Harrisburg, Dauphin, Adams, Franklin, the list goes on. You know what I mean? You talk about being 5 Mile famous, but that didn't happen overnight, right?
Hmm.
You got to start somewhere. You know, this year was our fourth annual for that, but going back many years ago, right? It was the consistency of it. I didn't see the results right away. I just knew I was passionate about this. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted homeowners to feel safe. I wanted to provide a good work safe environment with great culture and benefits and all those things. And a retirement plan someday is like what I set out to do. And then all of these mistakes along the way and bad behaviors and outburst and crying and tearing and blood and sweat and all these things went into it. And it's like, but I stayed consistent. We stayed consistent. We stayed consistent. And next thing you know, it's like we became 5 Mile famous, but it didn't happen overnight. But if you never start that, you never step outside your comfort zone. And that's the thing. I think fear holds back so many people, right? It's like you're your own worst enemy. Like you get out of your way, get out of your own way, take some advice, step outside. And if you can't do it, find those around you that will do it. You mentioned that earlier, right? And that if you can find a team of people or attract a team of people because you're doing the next right thing, no matter what, no matter what, no matter how many roofs you have to eat, no matter how many windows you got to reorder, no matter what, no matter you installed the wrong color gutters. And if you haven't done anything, any of those things, you haven't been in business long enough, because it's going to happen. Right. And it's way beyond integrity. It's way beyond that. If there was another word that I could think of right now, it's just doing the next right thing, no matter what. And all of these things start to come to fruition. Facebook ads, start doing Facebook ads, start doing a podcast. This podcast itself, we half the people that are probably watching it right now are my co-workers, our teammates that are probably watching this thing right now, because this alone has strengthened our culture. This
Awesome.
alone has helped us recruit people, just by doing this. And I didn't want to do this, right? I enjoy doing it today, but for the first 12 months, I did not want to do it. I was scared. I was terrified, but I didn't know my why. You
Mm,
talked about that earlier. I thought it was all about how cool I looked and how stupid I sounded and all these things. But when somebody had pointed out to me, it's like, dude, you're not doing this for you.
yeah.
You're doing it for your team. You're doing it for homeowners. You're doing it for the next person that wants to come work here. You're doing it for their families. None of this has to do with me. None of it. And every
Right.
day, Joe, when you suit up and show up and you open your eyes, you take your first breath and you put your feet on the floor, you're suiting up and showing up. Yes. Number one, your family, but then you have your extended family. When you walk into that office, you show up for them every single day. I know that you said that earlier, that we're cut from the same cloth. We have the same values. I know that's why you do this, but that's why you've become so successful over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, you got to trust the process, maybe trust me, trust Ty, trust someone else, trust God, trust
Mhm.
your community. And sometimes we don't believe in ourselves enough, and we need to kind of, yeah, I talk about it like borrowing that belief from someone else. Right. So that might
Yes.
be,
Love that.
people that your community locally, or, we're both a part of Revolt, give them a shout out. Just people that are going to believe in you and encourage you, because yeah, it's hard, and most days you don't want to do it.
Mm-mm.
And I can only imagine how much money it costs to do your show, especially when you're doing it on the road. And man, that's it's not an easy endeavor, I'm sure. So
Yeah. It,
yeah,
it
it's
it's not. It's very painful. But and this I said this to somebody, and he was like, "You should probably post that." I got a coach. I finally hired a coach a couple months ago, my first coach. And by the way, that's why I'm so good today. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, it has helped. But I said to him, and I because I feel like I can get very vulnerable with him. And I said to him, I said, inspiring is tiring sometimes. It's very draining. And I'm not saying that to be a martyr. I'm not saying that to woe is me or
mm,
anything like that. But it can be very tiring. And there are times that you need to be at 100%. And there are times that you can be at 70%. But that's when you kind of, like you touched on, where you need to lean into somebody else and hope, in hopes that you've inspired enough people that at one moment in time that they can inspire me to be like, lift your head up, buttercup, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And it's like, I got to remember that some days, because I mean, I've been doing this for a little while, right? Whether it's the podcast, the roofing industry, the siding industry, the window industry, the gutter industry. This is all I've done. This is all I know. And it's like, I went out on a mission. I had a previous employer, and when I left there, I've been on that same mission since day one. It wasn't about me. It was like, I took everything that I've saw wrong, and I took everything that I thought was good, and half the stuff that I thought was good wasn't any good anyhow. To come to find out, it's like, until I got in the trenches and really dove deep. And this is where it all began for me. It all began right here. The moment I started to really intentionally start working on me and what I needed to do and become the person that I wanted to become, then I was able to start working on my leadership skills, become a better leader, right? Because I really didn't know what that meant. Nobody really pointed me in the right direction of what that was going to be. I wasn't introduced to John Maxwell yet, even though he's been around for decades. An amazing person, um, and to I don't know, just to be a better person, and how to work on myself. So I guess I'm sorry, I'm losing my steam here. I started spacing out a little bit. It's been a long day, and that's the thing. It's like, I'd rather be on the couch collecting Cheeto dust in my belly button tonight, but I'm I'm
Don't
here.
get that on video, please.
Yeah, yeah, I might. You never know. I might get the clickbait on that. But anyhow, I guess that to hopefully you can inspire me. Let's start talking about leadership, because I know you're a grandiose leader and a coach and a mentor and all those things, and the things that you do to become a better one.
Man, you mentioned John Maxwell, and I talk about that often. Like I never considered myself a leader, and I guess, thought it was something reserved for, once you get to X amount of revenue, then maybe you're a leader, right? But we're
Hmm.
all leaders, whether it's in our family, our community, we lead ourselves. And when I was at RoofCon 2021, I sat front row when John Maxwell spoke. I mean, I was so close. He was like, spitting on me. And I had actually never read one of his books. He's written like almost 100 books.
88,
And I didn't really
88 to be exact.
what's that?
88 to be exact.
All right, cool. 88, just like the
I
number of piano keys.
I read every single one.
No way. Holy cow.
Sometimes half a dozen times. Yeah.
Okay, wow. All right. So that was like for some reason, maybe it was a proximity that I was in like with him, and he's like a big dude, and like it just really hit me. And I'm like, man, I gotta focus on my leadership. And so
Hmm.
that's been like the 2.5 year journey, I would say. So yeah, we have a leadership team at our company. I read books. I'm not a fan of reading as many books as possible. I like to,
Hmm.
as you just mentioned, I reread a lot of books.
Hmm.
I think it was like September of this year, I said no more new books for this year. I'm just going to reread some ones that I have, and I have a half a dozen books on my desk. I always have notes. I'm implementing things.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, just learning from others, and being confident in yourself that you are the leader.
Hmm.
People need to be led. Whether it's your family, whether it's your team, people are looking for a leader to kind of step up and not yell at them and tell them what they got to do, but just like lead by example. And
Right.
that's the thing I try to do, is lead by example. One of our core values here is that we are impeccable with our words. So what that means is we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. We follow up, we follow through. And so like, yeah, last night flying home from Dallas, I landed at I think 11:30, and on the plane, after a couple days of a conference, you're exhausted. I wanted to like maybe take a nap or watch a movie, but I got the Wi-Fi, I'm working,
Hmm.
I'm catching up, and making sure that I have, the team is they have what they need. I'm responding to people, because those conferences, I think I don't check my email for a few days.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
tough.
it's like catch up. People are waiting on things. I want to make sure they're successful. So, being
Absolutely.
a person that leads by example and a person of your word is, that's like the basic. If you're looking at anyone listening, watching, is looking to like, quote unquote, get into leadership or start being a leader, lead
Hmm.
by example and follow through on what you say you're going to do on your commitments.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge, because people learn what they catch, not what they're told.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
caught,
mean?
not taught.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And and seeking their feedback, and taking your team members, and listening to what they have to say, and taking their perspective. And one of the biggest things that I found too is taking responsibility for my actions, and being accountable for my decisions. If I make a poor decision, hey team, we got to deviate from that, and owning that I made a mistake, and delegating, right? So delegating has been probably one of the biggest forms of my growth, right? Either personally or professionally, right? Because I was a piss poor delegator.
Mm,
And then I had discovered that, that I'm screaming, go, 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 grow, grow, grow. And it's like, I'm the one holding us back. I'm the one that had
mm,
become the bottleneck, and everything was up here, and it was doing nobody any good if it was up here, until we started to document it, and then training other people, and alleviating some of my responsibilities. Those 15 tasks that I was doing on a daily basis actually created 12 full-time jobs. Right.
wow.
And that's a true story. I spoke about that at my breakout. I was, and I remember that moment clearly. It was my mom lived with us at the time. We were taking care of her, and everything came through this.
Yeah.
Where's the camera at? I can't see there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything, emails, phone calls, everything came through it. Every single call came through. It was 7:30 at night. We're at a restaurant, and here my poor mom's dying of cancer. And I'm already kicking the shit out of myself because I know if I'm present, I'm not even present. And then when I'm not present, I'm gone for hours at a time trying to run a business that was actually running me into the ground.
Oh
And the
yeah.
phone rang. And it was about 7:30 at night where we were at a Texas roadhouse. And I red buttoned it for like the very first time in my life. I red buttoned somebody. I didn't like get up and take the call. And my mom, she said two things to me, which I've heard all my entire life, but it hit differently. She said two things. One, Ty, life is entirely too short. And two, Ty, you need help. You need help with this. And of course, I've heard those two things my whole entire life, but listening to her that night, that hit differently. And I went on a mission. This was probably about 9 years ago. And at that point in time, if I told you the numbers that we were doing at that time, you probably wouldn't believe me, and you would say, "How the hell were you doing that amount of volume by yourself?" Now, don't get me wrong. I had Kim, I had Perry, I had Jan. I think was still in the business at that time. There was a handful of us, right? And then I had field guys. I had gutter installers. I had window installers. So the production, I managed all the production. I managed the service department. I took every single call. I ordered every bit of material that came through the building that went out on the job sites. I called all the subcontractors because we still use subcontractors. We do have subcontractors. I won't lie about that, but they have worked for us for over a decade, most of them. I did all of that. You know what I mean? And it was like I was killing myself, and I wasn't a very good leader. Like the leader, the law of the lid, like it stopped way down here, like way down
Mm,
here. And then I realized the more I started to work on myself, I started to raise that leadership lid, and I started to learn how to leverage our assets, because let's face it, our people have become our economy. They're not the shit, I just lost my train of thought. A commodity. They're not a
right.
commodity. They're our commodity. Or they're our economy.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean? And when I started those, and then it was the impact, because I thought I was impacting these people. Yeah, we got health insurance. Yeah, we got these things, unemployment, all this stuff. But it was like I'm killing myself, and I'm a miserable mess. Um, until I reached out, and I'll be honest with what opened my eyes was a Win the Storm. Jen
Oh
and
yeah.
I went to Win the Storm conference. It was our very first conference that we went to, and it was like, wow, I didn't know there was this many people, and this is really cool stuff. And I networked with a lot of people. I heard some really good stuff, and it really started to open my eyes to like books, podcasts, courses, mentorship. You know what I mean? I was getting mentored from a distance. I wasn't really calling anybody, but it started to open my eyes. I started to read more books other than the books that I was reading at that time, because a lot of them were self-improvement books. But it wasn't the right business self-improvement type of books. And like the John Maxwell's, and, people, Napoleon Hill, and the books that have been out forever, the writers that were writing books back in 1909 that we're reading now today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The revision of it. You know what I mean? Like I started to really dive into those books. And like you said, I read them 6 times. There's highlighters, and I got post-it notes to mark pages and stuff like that. But then when I started to work on me, I learned how to delegate and trust. And when you can start trusting in your team, and they know that that you trust them, they're more willing to do more than what you gave them to do. Right. And what I was doing is I was training them on how to think, but not what to think on their own, or how to think
Mm,
on their own. I was training them the wrong way. They were waiting for all the answers to come from me. They didn't
right.
know how to make decisions on their own, because it was like eh, I was a mess. Sorry, I went on that little tangent there, but
No, dude, it's so interesting. I was talking, catching up with Aaron Christie and his business partner Adam today at Indie Roof Company. You probably know Aaron,
mhm.
and we were talking about that exact thing. And Aaron said, I realized that when I was trying to do everything, I was holding back other people from learning and growing.
Yes,
And it's almost like it's like an ego, like an arrogant thing. Like I am better at this thing than everyone else, and
yes.
the reality is that you're not.
Mm-mm.
You think you are, and you're holding other people back from developing their own leaders. And
Big
like
time.
I mean, you've done it. Like I'm doing it. Like the best companies out there. I'm not saying I'm the best company, but I try to emulate the best companies. The best leaders create leaders within,
Mhm.
and that's what I try to do every day.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And it's really cool to watch that, to watch other people grow, right? And then practicing empathy and understanding the needs and motivations of your team members, right? Like figuring out those people, because it's not always money that motivates people. Okay.
right. Yeah,
You got to figure out who they are, what they're good at, and set them up for success, because just because they're not good at something doesn't mean they're not good at something else. So you got to navigate those things of like, okay, they're very strong at IT. They're not very strong at scheduling. Or finding out who they are, what makes them tick, what are their children's names, things like really getting down there and finding out like where they're at right now. You know what I mean? And where do they
yeah,
want to go? And how can I help you get there? Is it
yep,
continuous education? Is it a different department that you want to work in? What are your goals? And this is the biggest thing is creating a atmosphere of comfortability, right? Like so if they make a mistake or something where it's not, because this is what's crazy about mistakes. They need to make mistakes. I needed
yep,
to make mistakes because what happens is that's experience. Now I've gained experience in this. I can only get better from this mistake that I made, because it's a learning. It's a part of the training process. It's almost like go make some mistakes, come back, tell me what you identified, and how did you rectify it? Like,
yep.
don't come to me because you made a mistake, but also come to me and say, hey, this is what I discovered, and this is what we did to rectify the situation. It's like bingo, win-win.
Yeah, that constant feedback loop of like, all right, you mess something up, either coaching yourself through it or getting someone else to kind of coach you through that. So the
Hmm.
very next day you go out and get better, not waiting till January 1st, but like the next day you go out and you improve upon that thing. Uh
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And and how another reason what has happened to me too is surrounding myself around other leaders, and listening to how they may have handled certain situations, and opening up and asking questions and being vulnerable with other people, like at a mastermind or even at Revolt this November, a month ago or so, 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. I got more out of the relationships, that the new ones that I created when I was there, and the discussions that I had with those people, and with the older relationships, forging and making them stronger, with the side conversations without the podcast, were more informational to me than any other conference that I'd ever been. And I don't know if it was because I was more open and more willing, to my ears were open. I don't know what it was, but there were so many people that had came up to us and they were asking me questions, but I was getting more from them than they were probably from me, because I was asking them questions, because I need to hear the guys and the woes that, that are 1 or 2 or 4 years in the business. Like, what are
Hmm.
you guys doing now to adapt to situations like this? How are you hiring people? How are you recruiting people? And they're kind of looking at me like, well, we walked over here to find out how you are doing that. It's like, well, what, what have you done to this far? And it's like, they got some good nuggets in there, and like, were telling me things that, that just astounded me, on like how they were, recruiting people, or their training process. Because let's face it, SOPs and all of those things, documenting things, getting it documented so then it's easily duplicatable. That was probably one of our biggest things, because it was all up here for the longest time.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and it changed all the time based upon emotion. And it was like nothing was set in stone. So, what's not documented can't be measured. And if it can't be measured, it can't be scaled. Right. And I didn't understand that either. I just thought, I woke up this morning, I just don't feel like doing that anymore. So we're not going to do that anymore. And it's like, I never even gave it time to let it come to fruition, or without it being documented, we couldn't find the deficiencies in it. And then the other thing that I discovered too, by allowing it to play out and make mistakes, is that there's only two things that you need to identify. Is it a personnel issue, or is it a system issue? Does
Mm,
the system need documented, or was it lack of training, or is the person incompetent, or are they disrespectful, or what is it? Without it being documented, and setting that expectation and casting that vision, and the goals and the expectations and the accountability. Everyone thinks accountability is a negative word. It's not. It means success. So does
Mm,
expectations. Expectations and accountability only mean success. That means in unison.
yes, and I'll add to that. Whether it's a process, a system problem, or a people problem, it 100% of the time, in my opinion, it comes back to the leader to take ownership over that. To say, all
Hmm.
right, well, if Ty is, on my team and he screwed that up, well, okay, how could I have helped him to be more successful? Could I have
Hmm.
provided more training? Could we have provided better processes? Was something, did I make an assumption when I made that SOP doc that only I knew, but Ty didn't know that, right? So
Hmm.
taking ownership, I think there's a lot of that in the contracting and the roofing industry. It's like, man, I can't find good people. I can't keep good people. And there's a lack of ownership.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's part of leadership too. It's really like
Absolutely.
looking in the mirror to see how you could have set that person up for success in a more effective way.
Absolutely. And it comes down, a lot of that is communication. Working on my communication skills was huge, right? I'm a stuffer, I'm a bottler, I'll get to it later. I'm a procrastinator, all those things. You know what I mean? But if I'm not communicating it or working on my communication skills and am not afraid of conflict or
Yeah.
something that might come out of that communication, but without the communication, I think that's where most issues arise, is due to the lack of communication and it not being documented or knowing where to find the documents to be reviewed. So I know what my job is to be today.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
communication and like immediate communication. Like I don't know. I just like telling stories and examples. Today we had a weekly marketing meeting, our level 10 marketing meeting, and there
Hmm.
was something. It went well, but one of the people in that meeting texted me after. He's like, "Hey, do you have a few minutes to talk on the phone?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So he called me, or I called him, and he's like, "Hey, you just want to, that was a little awkward the way we were kind of working through that, and." This person seemed a little bit combative in the meeting and the way that we were going about this thing. And I'm trying to be vague here, of course. And I was like, dude, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Um, because the person that he was talking about was like, is like above him. So maybe that
Hmm.
was uncomfortable for him to do. But I'm like,
Hmm.
man, I really appreciate it. I don't know if I have all the answers, but I'll just, share where I'm coming from with this particular situation. I'll meet tomorrow and I'll get back to you by the end of the week. So that was really cool that he did that instead of waiting till our weekly meeting next week and just letting that
Hmm.
fester. Because that helps the organization just move. Not that it's all about moving faster, but like move more efficiently. And he didn't have to sit there for a week and wonder about it. He got right on it. And I'm so grateful that we have this environment where people feel like they can just, no matter what level they're at, they can reach out to me or whoever it is and just like voice their concern.
Hmm.
Um,
That's huge.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the environment of safety and security, right? Like that's that openness, and you have to remain approachable, right?
Yeah.
That's so big, is the, being approachable. And this is the deal, bro. Like, leadership is a journey, man, and it requires ongoing, commitment to self-reflection, the willingness to adapt and learn from our experiences and others, and developing self-awareness. That's probably one of the biggest things.
Awareness is huge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Understanding your strengths or weaknesses and the impact that you have on others, reflect your leadership style, communication skills, and decision making process. Like, you got to be decisive. You can't be indecisive all the time. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Even if you have to say, "Let me get back to you on that," but make sure you get back to them and being
Yes.
clear.
That's something I've worked on this year. If anyone's done the disc profile, D
Mhm.
is decisiveness, and I'm not a high D. I'm a high S. I'm all about structure and systems and
Mhm.
stability. So I've had to work on my decision making because a lot of times I found that when I became more self aware, I would procrastinate on making decisions because I had all the info I needed, and it was one of those, oh, I'll just, let me sleep on it, let me think about it. And
Mhm.
our other leaders on our team would encourage me like, no, we need to make the decision now.
Mhm.
So for anyone that thinks they're not really good at leading or decision making, don't worry about it. Those are skills. Sorry, I'm getting it. those are skills that we develop. It's not like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm just not decisive. All right, whatever. No, those
Yeah.
are skills that we develop, just like
Right.
content, just like anything else.
Just like everything else. I mean, you might be born with empathy and sympathy and things like that, but everything that we reviewed is definitely a skill that you can work on. We get the opportunity to work on this, and that's the beautiful thing about that. But it's the willingness to work on yourself, because it's only going to have a better impact on others, and remaining teachable has probably been one of my biggest things, and not allowing my team to outgrow me, because at some point in time, if you're in business long enough, you breach these little, like, I got to stay sharp here because I don't want to be the lid. And I'm not saying that I still need to control everything, because thank God I don't today. I don't have to. And that's what's cool. I don't have to do this by myself today anymore. I
Yeah.
don't have to do it. I don't have to do it by myself. I have a great team of people who have, I've learned a lot from. I've seeked, feedback from the team. I ask them whenever there's a meeting. We have a meeting. Usually it's we call it the business meeting. It's every other Tuesday, and it's like, and we have a sales success meeting. I don't know why I'm having such an issue speaking tonight, but a sales success meeting, which is kind of like a pop-up meeting. It's not. Sometimes we have them twice a week. Sometimes we have them once a week. Sometimes we have them every other week. But within that meeting, I ask more questions than anything else, because I want to hear what they are thinking. What are you thinking? How does this make you feel? What if we do this and not that? What's your opinion on that? And it's like, when you do that, then you're empowering them.
Mm,
And you know what? And then what's even cooler is I would say 87% of the time, it's such a great idea. That is
yeah.
such a great idea. And even though that 13 other percent, sometimes I know it's not, but we still go with it.
I love it. I do the same thing. Yeah. I like, cause at the end of the day, it's like, well, if I would have chosen A and you would have chosen B, and we go with B, what's the big deal? Like, it's
Mhm.
not, hopefully it's not life and death, right? We're not brain
Right.
surgeons here.
No.
Yeah, and I love that. I love sitting back, knowing the answer that I would give, but just being silent and letting other people step up.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
It
It's
is.
exciting.
It
That's
is good
that's a
stuff.
big dopamine rush for me.
It is. Just watching them grow right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It is. What time is it, Victor?
I don't know. We're an hour and 11 minutes.
We're an hour and 11 minutes in. No wonder I can't talk right. Ooh, I talked all day.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but Joe, this is great. I appreciate our conversations, always do. I wish we were a little bit closer, because I would like you to be that's the sum of the five, that make me who I am today, and you would be probably number 4 on that list.
Oh man, wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. I always dig our conversation. So thank you, everyone, for watching. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, and I'm assuming you're seeking or taking on new clients, or you booked up.
No, we're always growing, taking on new clients. We're hiring new people. So yeah, reach out on our business website, contractordynamics.com, or on my personal website, which is relatively new. I haven't really shared it much, but it's josephhughes.co without the com, because someone else owns that. So josephhughes.co, got some the
Nice.
events that we're doing and things like that. So it's got all the socials on there and the content and the podcast. So I love connecting. I love helping people.
Mhm.
I love getting to know people, building relationships. So yeah, let's connect.
No doubt. Love it, man. Love what you do. You're killing it out there. You're helping grow contractors and individuals, and which is helping communities and families abroad. So thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for everyone for watching tonight. Hopefully somebody gets something out of this on their drive to work tomorrow or on their way home. But check us out on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Google. Check us out on Apple now. We appreciate everyone that listens, likes, loves, and shares. So check you guys out next week for episode 207. Have a great night, everybody.